With the shades.
With a shade. Oh, yeah, well, I mean, they're not shades, they're glasses. But I'm with the one and only Ben Davison. It is the third week in Feb, and you're working hard at your gym with Josh Taylor, Lee Wood, Lee McGregor, and others, Shabazz, and at your group there in just about 10 miles north of London. How are you, first of all, Ben?
I'm all good, thanks, Gareth. You?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. What are you hearing about Josh Taylor's next venture, and probably the States, isn't it? In Estados Unidos for the Undisputed?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I think obviously they're waiting for, there was obviously news reported there was a clash with the Canelo date. So I imagine they're just waiting to make sure there's no injuries, cuts or anything like that to prevent Canelo going on Cinco de Mayo weekend. So I suppose we're just waiting to hear something next week after Canelo Yildirim's done on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm hearing Billy Joe Saunders may well be ringside in Miami, or that was the talk. Is Billy gone, do you know?
Not yet, but that's the plan, so I'm hearing as well.
You going to go?
No, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go.
But I expect they'll get them in the ring that night on May the 8th, and then announce May the 8th, presumably.
Yeah, obviously, as long as Canelo comes through his fight with Yildirim.
I think it's a 3 to 5 round fight, that.
Yeah, it's an exhibition, I think, for Canelo. A highlight reel it'll be for him, in my opinion. That's no disrespect to Yildirim. Obviously, Canelo, in my opinion, is the pound-for-pound number one.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr. showed the blueprint, didn't he? Just go after him, really. Because he's not a bad boxer, Yildirim. And that's the thing about this. We just assume that, you know, these champions, we've seen it in the last couple of weeks, haven't we? You know, people who are talked up in a massive way, getting caught out. I don't expect him to get caught out because he looked defensively very savvy against Callum Smith as well, didn't he? As well as offensively, you know?
Oh, he's a completely different machine now to even, in my opinion, 2 years ago. He's a perfect example of lives, breathes, eats and sleeps boxing, and that's why he's constantly evolving and improving. I think I was very impressed as well. Like, I think before, I'm always like, you know, when you get these fighters and they get to the top, and when they first get to the top, you're sort of seeing it with the lightweights at the minute. They're all, you know, slagging each other and, yeah, he's no good. Yeah, he's no good. You know, when you're supremely confident but realistic and give credit to the potential opposition and that kind of thing, that's when, you know, someone really is, they're fully confident and comfortable with themselves. And, you know, it's usually a case of knowing their job back to front. So I've seen Canelo with a few interviews and, you know, he's not talking down potential opponents. He's speaking well of potential opponents. And to me, you know, as an opponent, I wouldn't be looking at that thinking, oh, I can gain some confidence from that. If anything, I'd be thinking, oh, hold on a minute. He's talking well of me. He's that he sees the good in me, but still, you know, believes he can get the job done against me. So.
Hey, and a fighter of his elite level wanting to do it 4 times a year, that's twice what most elite fighters are doing now. And credit to him for that, you know? I mean, Tyson Fury said it to me the other day. This game is all about activity and trying to be as active as you can be. I know he might be out for 18 months by the time he fights Anthony Joshua, but I think he's exceptional in that way. But it is about activity, isn't it? And you've only got to admire that with Canelo.
Yeah, 100%. But again, with activity, look at the performance of Canelo against Callum Smith. He wasn't like, that wasn't off the bat, a back-to-back camp. But he stayed in the gym. That's activity. All this about people want to keep active. Keep in the gym. Keep ready. Prepare yourself. Keep boxing. Keep working on your craft. Not 10 weeks before you fight. Stay in the gym. That's activity. Never mind fighting.
You're doing that with Josh, yeah?
Josh, we've been training with Josh since through December, January, February, March, April, right the way up until he fights. Of course, you taper it. Intensity varies and you phase the training camp for him, obviously, to be tapered and peaked by the time fight night comes. But, of course, he's unified world champion. Is there areas that he can keep working on in his game? Of course there is. So we'll keep working on them.
As you look at Jose Ramirez more and more, are you very impressed with him? I am.
I've got huge respect for him. I think that no matter what, before you even take into consideration his ability as a boxer, you've got to take into consideration that he's a God-fearing man. He's got the will and desire to win, physically strong. He's more than capable. And anybody like that, with those assets to their name, besides his boxing ability, is going to be a hard night's work. And in terms of technically and tactically, I would say that it's a fight. I've got huge respect for Jose Ramirez, but I think it's a fight. If Josh goes about it in the right way, it's a potential coming out moment for Josh Taylor if gone about it in the right way.
Are you thinking May 15, May 22, around that time?
We're sort of preparing with the potential, not that I think it's going to happen, but just worst case scenario, that something was going to happen, that something happened with Canelo and he's not able to go on May the 8th. So anything around that date we'll be ready for. Like I say, he's been training throughout. So when the date's been given, we'll be ready for it.
And if it's not Vegas, you might be going to, say, like Miami or Dallas or somewhere like that, yeah?
I can't see that happening.
No crowd. Do you want to go somewhere with a big crowd?
I don't know. I think maybe by May there may be some crowds in Vegas.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see. I'm not the promoter.
I know you're not. Do you talk to Bob at all, Bob Arum?
Not really. No. Obviously, we go through Josh's management, MTK, and I just focus on the fighters and what they need to work on.
Did you have a view the other day on? Because I spoke at length about it a lot. I've spoken a lot about Josh Warrington the other day and Howard Foster giving Josh the opportunity after that, whatever it was, third or fourth round, wasn't it, to carry on in that fight. Did you have a view on it at the time?
To be honest with you, obviously I had Lee Woodbox on the card, so I didn't get to watch the full fight. I've watched bits of it back, and obviously the fourth round. I can understand. There's an argument, and this is the problem in life in general, I suppose. There's an argument for both sides.
Yeah.
Isn't there? An unbeaten world champion, he has to be given his best chance. Or there's the argument of that night wasn't going to be his night. Could have been pulled out a bit earlier and given knowing he's got a rematch clause then and have another go. So
and not taking those 15 minutes of a battering as well, which can radically alter someone, can't it? That's what we don't know now, Yeah,
there's an argument for both.
I agree.
Both parties. What I will say is, it is what it is now, isn't it? It's happened. So we'll have to wait and see. I just think, don't know. It's going to be a tough one to come back from.
Well, it'll be a tough one. Yeah, but yes, I agree. It'll be a tough fight to have again. Yeah. But it all went. The rhythm of the fight went wrong for Josh anyway, didn't it? It just went wrong.
What do you mean?
Well, I think they were going relentless hell for leather from the opening round. It wasn't what we're used to seeing from Warrington, in my view. And he had his father in the corner, and he had Foster probably once bitten, twice shy over George Groves, Carl Froch years ago. And like you say, I have felt the same thing myself at the time. I was broadcasting live on TalkSport at the time, Fight Night show, and my feeling was exactly those things. Unbeaten former world champion, still a world champion in many ways, because he'd vacated his own belt. And because he did come out and fight. He had something more to give in the fifth round, didn't he? But then Robert Smith said this the other day, and I don't disagree with him. There wasn't a moment then from the fifth to the ninth where you just wanted to stop it. Do you know? He was getting beaten up. But the funny thing is, if he had stopped it in the fourth, people would have moaned he'd stopped it, and then they would have had the rematch anyway, and he wouldn't have taken those 5 rounds of pain. Do you know what I mean?
This is what I mean about there's an argument for both.
There is. It's one. Yeah, we are in a sport of opinions, you know. And at the end of the day, do we have to worry about him in that interview he gave to one of the nationals, saying that? I think there was a line about him saying his memory's not the best. That worries me a little bit, you know.
Memory of the fight?
No, just his memory. You know, that his memory is not good all the time. You know, so. You know, Josh is a fantastic character. I love the interviews he gave the week after. That, you know, because you can just feel his resilience and spirit and will that's still there. I reckon Josh will have a couple more fights, you know, and I think one of them will be a world title, you know.
Josh wouldn't have, like, he wouldn't have lost anything, and you know, I'm sure he'd be able to come back from that. I just think stylistically that's a real tough matchup for him.
Yeah, there's loads of Mexicans who see those events as their fucking lottery ticket, you know, big time. And like that kid may go on, and it's like the Thai guy who Josh Taylor knocked out in the rounds. You and I have spoken about him, and you had particular theories on him that he's going to knock out some high level, if not elite, fighters in his career as well, because he's just got equalizing power. Which brings me on to, you know, you talk about the lightweights just now, yeah? Like, Ryan Garcia is an interesting case because I think he's a star of the lightweight division. He might not be the best boxer, but he's a catalyst for so many great fight nights with all those others. He might lose to Lopez and Haney and Davis and maybe Shaka even, but he brings something, doesn't he? Every time he brings it. And like, any one of those that fights him at the moment, I just lost you for a moment, but any one of those that fights him at the moment, it's a big fight. I mean, Teofimo Lopez against Devin Haney is a big fight, but for some reason, those fights against Garcia are actually even bigger in some ways because they reach outside boxing more, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I think with the team behind Ryan Garcia, I don't imagine him to come too far behind who does end up proving to be number one, if not himself. So,
look, being knocked down by Campbell is going to teach him an awful lot, isn't it? Canelo was onto him straight away about that after the fight, you know?
He was, that's what I mean. Very impressed because...
It's the kind of thing you love, that. That's the kind of thing where you will tell me there's a guy who's taking that loss moment as a learn, you know?
And that, like on the way back from the ring, not even in the change room, not celebrating what he did right. It was focused on what went wrong because that's not being negative. That's being, okay, what we've done, we're moving on to the next job. And I'll never forget, like, Leonard Ellaby mentioned to me before about, like, Floyd would beat the likes of Canelo, Pacquiao, Cotto, Mosley, Hatton, these type of fighters, and everybody would be around him going, that was amazing, that was this, that was that, you was phenomenal, and he'd go, not good enough, back in the gym on Monday.
Yeah. Well, the hardest fight I saw him physically have, I think I was there for both of them, was against Marcos Maidana, the first fight anyway. He got pinned on the fucking ropes for 6 rounds and battered. You know, well, not, but you know what I mean by battered. If you, for him, he got battered. You know, and he still won the last 6 rounds, and then he came back and beat Maidana in the second fight. And Maidana was a little animal at that point in his career. You know, with the tattoo of the pistola, you know, on his side and everything. Top bloke, hard as nails, great engine, straight out of the plains. You know, I mean, like, oof. So tell me. What are you hearing about Fury and Joshua?
I haven't heard too much, and I've not asked too much. You know, I just think that there's a lot of people that seem to think, oh, can't see it happening, and this, that, and the other. I believe that it's happening.
Leaves a long pause to see if anything else is coming out. You must be missing your Nando's and stuff at the moment.
I'm on the bacon rolls from round the corner of the cafe at the minute, to be honest.
No,
I get sick of them. See, I've got a terrible, terrible addictive personality. Like, if I like something, a drink, a meal, I'll have it and have it and have it and have it and have it until I completely get sick of it, then move on to something else. So at the minute, I'm all right, but in a week or so, we don't know.
I've had a big English at that cafe.
Oh, you have? You're right, yeah.
Full English. Yeah, no, it's a really nice cafe. So is that open or is it just takeaways at the moment then?
Just takeaways at the moment, yeah.
So it's a bacon. What are you having for dinner tonight then?
Last night, the missus made kofti and rice.
Nice. Congratulations on your engagement, by the way.
Thanks, mate. Inspired by the one and only Gareth Davies.
Yeah, right. Baby's on the way soon or not?
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, that's amazing. Just tell me lastly, run me through who you've got coming up, who've definitely got fights. Obviously, Lee Wood defended his title. Was that last weekend? A weekend before?
Weekend before, yeah.
Yeah. Who else you got coming up?
We've got Lee McGregor boxing for the European title.
Tell us about Lee McGregor.
Lee McGregor, this is his 10th fight, is it, Lee? Yeah. Lee McGregor's 10th fight, boxing for the European title against the 2 or 3-time European champion. The fights, I think he's 29 wins out of 33 contests.
Is this the guy that sleeps under the ring? He's under there sleeping right now, yeah?
Yeah.
No, you told me before that you feel Lee, he's probably in earshot, unfortunately, and I don't know if you'll say this right now with him there, but you've told me this, you hand on heart, you think this guy's a nailed-down world champion in the future.
Lee McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Shabazz, in my opinion, both of them.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to put in there is Lee McGregor's in his 10th fight and he's boxing for the European title against someone 33 fight veteran, 29 wins, 3-time European champion. So a solid European.
Who is that?
Level fighter. Karim Gareth, his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And when Lee is successful in this fight, he deserves the credit for 1, taking the challenge, and 2, being successful. Obviously, we saw Josh Kelly, and I believe that Josh Kelly will come back and go on and go above European level. I think he can definitely achieve world honours. But we saw him fall short, and people are right. There were some people saying, and it's very important for people to remember that was only his 12th fight. He took some big jump ups in class, and he fell short. But he deserves the credit for taking the risk at an early point in his career. And it's the same for Lee McGregor going into this fight. It's his 10th fight to be British, Commonwealth and European champion inside 10 fights.
So is this guy similar to an Avanesian then?
He's, like I say, he's a 33-fight veteran. The people that he's lost to are solid fighters,
Yeah.
And the fights that he has lost, he's always been in the fight. He's he's only Zanit Zakianov, former world champion. Daz Miranis, who's now number 1 with the IBF. So, and a 3-time European champion. So he's, he's probably just a bit above. He's typical fringe world level. And Lee McGregor to hit those heights inside 10 fights deserves the credit. When he does that. And there's also on the same card, Shabazz Massoud, who is mandatory for the English title, but we're struggling to find him an opponent. So we've got him a 6-rounder on that same card. But I will have no hesitation in taking the same jumps with Shabazz as we have done with Lee. Both of them are future world champions.
Well, I've had people saying, get hold of Ben because it looks like he's stolen your hair. I'm just proving that you haven't, because we're both here together. Yeah.
We're both here together.
Yeah.
I would say that if mine's still where yours is, when I get to your age, Gareth, I'd be over the moon.
Yeah, you've got a big, thick head of hair on you, lad.
I know, but...
Don't start telling me that. No.
But what I will say is with modern technology, I should be all right.
The pair of us will still be able to do the flick with Michelle Joy Phelps at the next event.
Yeah, we'll have to we'll have to reincarnate that when we get the opportunity.
Just a quick final one. I know I'll speak to you before then anyway, but Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin, the Rumble on the Rock. How do you see that going this time?
I really don't know. I don't know how each fighter is going to approach the fight. Obviously, I think it's a difficult one because there was just one or two mistakes that Dillian was making that ended up, he ended up paying the price for. But does he then completely go and make an adjustment to his game? Because I think there was elements of the right idea there. He just needs to be aware of why he got clipped, how he got clipped, and how to take away Povetkin potentially doing that again. But if he goes in does a 180 and goes in a completely another direction, it could end up not working for him. But I've said this from the moment it happened, you've got to show respect to Dillian Whyte for the way he handled the defeat, the way he's gone about his business, the way he's gone straight back into the fight, and the mindset and mentality and character that it's shown. You can only respect that.
But his jabs got better and better, and his jab was very good in that fight. In fact, he was out jabbing Alexander for long periods of the fight. And he looked like he had him finished, didn't he? He looked like he had him finished, It's
funny you should mention the jab because that's exactly what I was talking about. If he then goes, right, I'm just going to jab, 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 he could potentially leave pathways to Povetkin getting closer and landing those shots and getting underneath him.
Yeah.
If he's smart in the way he uses a jab, he can prevent that. But he certainly has to be smart in the way that he goes about the job. But I'm sure him and his team will have a plan set out about how to go about the fight, and it's one I'm looking forward to and one I'm wishing him the best for because, like I say, I respect the way he's gone about the defeat, gone about the job, the character that he's shown. So I hope that it shows to represent how it should be done, and I'm wishing him all the best for it.
Well, I can't wait for my next full English round the corner. I'm buying
whenever you want
bacon rolls. I might even arrive with some. It's great to see you, mate, really. And fingers crossed we're all out of this in the next couple of 3 months, and cracking on a bit more.
Hopefully, mate. Hopefully.
Great to see you.
And you, mate.